joining today. I always feel like it's easier for me to do these kinds of presentations when I know there are a few of the people I know out there, and then, you know, folks who watch it can do so as we record it. I do want to ask, and you all can show me a little raise of hands, is there anyone who's planning to go to the LSAC forum tomorrow? Doesn't look like it. Well, I'll tell you right now, I think that that's kind of a smart idea because it is the first one. And there are thousands of people who have signed. Oh, Christella, you're going tomorrow. Okay. I want to hear about how it goes. And of course, you can go to multiple ones. So you might decide that you get your feet wet tomorrow and go back again in October or November. But I'm hoping that it's going to go off without a hitch tomorrow. I'm thinking no matter what, that there is some benefit to have of going to the virtual LSAC forums. So why isn't my slide moving? Oh, I guess, Ashley, do you have to move the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can give us the next one. Okay, so what's the history of this? Every year we have had LSAC law school forums in major cities. The 7 or 8 of them, the one that we have attended the most is the one in Houston. It's the kind of regional one for Texas and the surrounding area. And, you know, it's an opportunity. They get usually close to 200 law schools that participate in each one of the forums. And so in the old way, you would walk around to the different tables, you would pick up pamphlets, you would meet and greet with the law school admissions people who were at the different tables. You'd make that connection to an admissions person from a school that you're interested in and asking them questions. So now with the virtual LSAC forums, you're going to be able to still meet with the different admissions people. You're just going to be doing it in the virtual format. They have the other things that are going on that usually are happening at the forums. There are separate booths, there are programs that you can attend, there's advice you can get, and so you'll be able to take advantage of any of those different things if you want to, but do it virtually. Okay, next slide. Next slide. There. Okay. Here are the dates and the dates by which you have to register. Of course, the one that's tomorrow, the registration is already closed. Tuesday, October 13th actually is one that I'm going to be attending because pre-law advisors traditionally give advice in one of the rooms, and I've always volunteered to do it. So I will be on that when it's 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock our time. And so I'm going to be on there from 4 to 6. I'll be in the pre-law advisor room during that time. And then you can attend all of the live workshops during that time frame as well. And then we have in November and December. So plenty of time to get it done. You have to have an LSAC account to register. So you just go to lsac.org, and as long as you've got an account, then you will be able to click on the page where you can register. Okay, next slide. So here's what you can expect. They are calling it an easy-to-use platform. Those are their words and not mine. Now, I did go to a session with pre-law advisors and law school admissions people, and so I saw the platform and what it looks like, and it does seem to be very intuitive and easy to navigate. You go into a kind of main lobby area, and you can see that it has different colors of halls. And so like red hall, blue hall, purple hall. So you can look in advance see where the law schools are that you're interested in, and then you can kind of stroll in that particular hall and look at the other law schools, or there's a pull down menu where you can go directly to a particular school. And so as far as the platform, it does seem to be very easily navigated. So once you get to one of the law school's tables, then you can talk to them either through chat, through video, or through a phone call. My understanding about the phone calls is that each law school will have a kind of place you can sign up. Then you can go and walk around, look at other schools, and then they will call you when you come up in the queue to have your phone call with the particular representative. So what you might want to do is strategize about, these are schools that I have kind of a medium feel about. So I am, going to just do a chat at those. But here is a school where I really want to talk to the rep. I think I'm going to sign up for a phone call with that particular law school rep. So here's a really cool thing that they have is they have a virtual swag bag. So where in the typical forum you'd be walking around and collecting all of that paper, if you see a document that you want at anyone's table, then you just click on it and it goes into your virtual swag bag. And then at the end, you'll have a great big file you can email to yourself with all of the stuff that you collected during the course. So those are kind of the main features of what you're going to see during the forum. Okay, next slide. Okay, they've made it really easy to register on the day of the forum. You just go to the log into your account, go to the forums page. Then you just click on the Access Digital Forum link. And so whatever email address it is that you have associated with your LSAC account, then you will go in. Then you go directly to the digital lobby, and that's where you can select different areas to visit or the different activities to participate in. Okay. Edge, Chrome, Safari, or Firefox, but not Internet Explorer. So make sure that when you go in that you're using one of those browsers where you're going to get the best experience. My experience with it was on Chrome and it was fine. Okay, next slide. Okay, of course, the most important thing about the day is talking with law school representatives. I mean, there's a lot of other great information there, and that's wonderful. But the thing that you don't want to lose that you would have gotten at a face-to-face forum or law fair is the time to make an impression on the law school representatives. As far as who that might be, it might be the actual admissions dean. It might be a faculty member who's doing this. A lot of law schools use recent graduates to do all of their, what they used to do in the past is they would have recent graduates who would travel around to all of the different law fairs and law school forums and give the pitch. Sometimes it is even current students. They're like student workers, and so your 3L student worker job might be working for the admissions department, answering questions about the law school at different forums. There might be a whole bunch of different kinds of people who are manning each booth, especially the schools that are going to get a high volume. So the law school admissions people that I know have been taking a kind of all hands on deck approach about these 4 days to get everyone they possibly can in order to be able to answer everyone's questions. So, it's kind of good news, bad news. If you actually get an admissions dean or a faculty member who, you can make an impression on, then that's going to be a good thing. If you get one of the recent grads or current students, it still is a good thing, because what you're going to get is the opportunity to really get an insider view of what that law school is like. And so it's a multi-purpose thing. It's like, yeah, it'd be nice to make a great connection, but it also is great to really get the inside scoop on the law schools you're interested in. One of the things that everybody always wants to ask them is, what are my chances of getting in your school? And just as a matter of, I would almost say as a matter of ethics at these forums, they never will speculate about your chances of getting into a particular school. So if you say, hey, I've got a 162 and a 3.5, will you all admit me? You're not going to get an opinion from them. You can ask them general questions about what kind of students they're looking for. You could probably even ask them about their emphasis on GPA or on LSAT. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get much of an answer out of them. I'll tell you the answer you're going to get. You're going to get, we take a holistic approach to all of our applicants, and we look at everything about the file. So I don't think that those types of questions are the ones that are going to be of most benefit to you regarding the kind of information you want. What they're mainly going to tell you is, with this last bullet, what kind of programs they have, what their facilities are like, the demographics of their student body, and to answer any questions that you might have that are going to help you to decide whether that's the law school that you want to attend. Okay, next slide. Here are the kind of questions that you can ask, because sometimes the thought is, I can go to any school's website and I can see all of this information about them. Why should I bother with this? The thing is that there are questions that you can ask that go beyond what you're going to see on the website. I like, what do you look for in a personal statement as a question, because it might just re-emphasize what I've been telling you about as we worked on your personal statements. And I like that. I like it that they can tell you, well, we're really looking for a story about you from a personal perspective. And, we like to see a theme. And then you can think, oh, yeah, Kirby was right about that. But they also might tell you some other insights directly from their school about what they like to see. You can ask, for example, so what is your thought about whether or not I should personalize my statement to your school, and see what they say. I know that we have a lot of job statistics that the law schools are required to give you on their website in their ABA 509 report, with all of the other statistics that every law school has to give. There are, the job statistics, but percentages don't tell you everything you want to know about what kind of jobs people who graduate from that particular law school are moving into. So you can ask, so what types of jobs are your graduates getting? Are they going to big law? Are they going to medium-sized firms? Are there a lot of your students who are getting into jobs where it's JD preferred but not required? And so you can get a kind of feel for what kind of job outcomes there are. Along that same line, something that I did not list here is asking about what organizations basically come to your on-campus interviews, and what types of internships are your students finding during the summers? Because of course those kinds of internships are typically what are going to lead to your first job. So knowing what companies and organizations are interviewing on campus and hiring students during the summer is a good thing to know as well. What percentage of graduates practice in the region around your school? And this is a question for those of you who might be thinking of going to a law school that is away from Texas, but coming back here to practice. And so if you've got a law school where most of their students are staying in that area, it means that most of their focus is going to be on finding them jobs in that particular region. And so you can figure out how many people are staying here, how many people are leaving here. I think if you ask about faculty-student relationships, there's not anybody who's going to tell you, oh, our faculty are horrible and they never talk to students. But they will tell you if there are particularly strong faculty-student relationships. They'll tell you something about how much faculty interact with students, and I think it's a valuable thing to know. You can ask about on-campus and off-campus housing opportunities, if that's something that, especially if you're moving away, what are the student rentals like, apartment rentals around where the campus is? And then the final question here, what is the law school experience like for diverse students? If this is something that you are concerned about, that you want to know that you are going into a law school where you're going to feel welcome. You're going to be going to a law school where you're going to meet a lot of different kinds of people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, regions, all the kinds of diversity that you can think of. And if that's important to you, I urge you to ask the law schools about that beyond what the numbers are on their website. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here is information about the resources. I don't think I can go click on that, can I? Let's see. Oh, yes. So Ashley, tell me, are they able to see what I've just done here? Or are we still looking at?
No, but I can do it.
Okay. Thank you. I have to find myself again. Here we go. Ah, okay. So this is where they have the full schedule. And so you can see the time for there. Scroll up here. What we want to look at is the Resource Center. Excellent. So we have a diversity booth. So it's your diversity, equity, and inclusion team that are there to answer your questions. We have a resource center about financial aid and financing of legal education. So you can ask about loans and so forth for your financing. I'm going to have a seminar about that when we start getting to the beginning of next semester, when everybody is going to be saying, okay, I've been admitted now, how do I pay for it? So, but it's good to get that information as much as possible. Then we have an LSAT information booth if you want to talk to some of those people who are the ones who develop the test. I think that would be kind of interesting. Then we have the pre-law advisement. That's the one where pre-law advisors like me are there to answer questions about, applications and personal statements and so forth. There are a lot of schools who do not have the kind of pre-law advising center or pre-law advisor like we do. They might have one faculty member who will do some pre-law advising. And I know of a lot of schools around here regionally don't have a pre-law advisor at all. Those are mainly the students that I end up talking to in that booth, are the ones who are like, I've never talked to a pre-law advisor at all, and I don't have any idea. So you can do that if you want, but you've got me. So, or you can just come by and say hi to me. There's a booth about graduate programs. And so these are mostly for JD graduates and practicing lawyers, and so not anything that you might be interested in. Canadian candidates, I guess, unless the election in November goes horribly wrong and we're all going to move to Canada, I don't think that that's anything that you all have to be concerned about. Okay, let's scroll up a little bit more. Oops.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Hold, please. We'll be right there. We were doing pretty good, like up to this point. Hey, this way I get to kind of look and see who's here. Hi, everyone. Okay. We can just go back to my slide if you want, because I think that that was the main thing that I wanted to get from there was what those resources were. Okay, so is this, and that was the 8th slide there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so you can look there for the whole schedule. There are live and on-demand workshops as well. So make sure and go and look at that schedule. You know, the live ones are events that'll have particular times that you can go and, you know, see it as it is happening. And then the on-demand workshops are like recorded versions so that you can go back as you might want to and watch them on your own time. And, you know, it's a lot of different, some of the same topics like we're talking about here of, you know, what should I ask? What about the LSAT? And so you can just kind of scan what the different workshops are and see if there's one you're particularly interested in going to. Okay. On the next slide, I want to tell you about some other events that are coming up in October. And these are our regional law school admissions panels that are being presented by the Southwest Association for Pre-Law Advisors, SWAPLA, of which I am the treasurer. And the reason that we are doing these particular panels is because, you know, just like with the LSAC forums, we used to have law fairs. I don't know if any of you attended the law fair that we had last fall, but we had about 75 law schools who were in the atrium. And so you were able to visit with our kind of regional law schools in person. Also, we have always brought law school admissions people to our campus for students to meet with. We always have SMU, UT, Texas Tech. And so now that they can't travel to campus, we had to come up with an alternative. And so what we did is we put together 4 panels that are basically of law schools in our region. And so what you'll be able to do is log on. The panels will each, you know, do like panels do. Each of the law school admissions deans will, you know, answer questions presented to them. They're going to talk about, you know, how did the pandemic affect them? You know, what's their diversity like? General advice, the kinds of things that they talk to for us if they were in person. Okay, next slide. Here is the schedule. On our website on, you know, utdallas.edu/pre-law, under the calendar, you have a link to all of these different sessions. And you know me and Ashley, we will be sending something out in advance of each of these. So next week we will be sending out the link for the first one, which is probably the most interesting one for folks who are planning to stay here, because we've got Baylor, SMU, A&M, Texas Tech, and UNT. So this is basically our North and Central Texas law schools. I can tell you from looking at the list that the Dean of Admissions from SMU will be there. The Dean of UNT Law is going to be on this session. And the people from Baylor and Texas Tech are the admissions people who have been visiting our campus many, many times. Jeff Green is coming from Texas A&M, and he's getting to the point where he's pretty well informed. We can definitely pepper him with questions. So if you're interested in one of those schools, I would highly recommend logging on to this panel, because it is one where you can ask questions in the chat, and the group that's here are really excellent about answering specific questions. Then, as you can see, we've got the Louisiana panel on the 8th. I don't know if there's anyone who's really considering one of the Louisiana schools. Then the very important one on the 15th, especially for those of you who are interested in either UT or University of Houston, that we've got the admissions people for that. And then the final one on the 20th is, Arkansas and Oklahoma. I will tell you that I received an email from the Texas recruiter for OU, and she wants to come and visit us. I told her we're not having anybody come and visit us these days, but I would be happy to set up a session just with her. And I know that for people who want to stay in the region, that OU is a top choice. And so we might just take her up on her offer and set up a Zoom conversation where we just talk to OU. Okay, I believe we're just up to the thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments or?
There is a question.
Okay.
As far as questions to ask in the forums, would it be appropriate to ask about the law school experience for first-generation law students?
I think very much so. And I think that you'll get a really good feel for how much of a focus it is on a particular law school if you ask. Because if they just say, oh yeah, it's a good experience, but if they really say, we love to have first generation law school students at our school, and we have a number of them, and here's some of the experiences they've had, then you get a feel that it's really, they sincerely are happy to have you within their cohort. I just thought of a question that I didn't answer that's very, very important, and that's about fee waivers. I think it's really important to ask at law schools that you're intending to apply to, if you haven't gotten a fee waiver from them already, if they have a fee waiver available. And I think you just do it in a very polite way. You say, I am really interested in your law school and want to apply. Is there any possibility that you can give me a fee waiver? In the session that I was on, where the law school people were, asking questions, the topic came up. One of the law school people said, so we are going to be able to give away fee waivers, right? And the answer was, oh, absolutely. And I got the impression that there are going to be a lot out there.
There's another question.
Okay.
With everything being online, do you have advice for connecting personally with law school reps and leaving an impression?
I think that politeness, whether you're in person or in a chat, I think is super important to always be saying, I'm so happy to meet you today. I've been very interested in your school. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. Maybe even a little bit of kind of, so how has this experience been for you from your perspective? Let them talk about themselves a little bit and what they're doing. I really think if you have a top school, I think that it is good to try to have the phone conversation, to get into the line to have a phone conversation. But make sure you don't waste their time. You know, have your questions that you want to ask them ready. And I think that uh, really show an interest in the individual particular school that you're talking to. I know it takes a little more effort, but it's easy to ask a can question to everybody. It's a little harder to say, to preface it with something about their school that, I'm really interested, I know that X, well, I know that UT Law is just a great law school and you have so many opportunities available there, especially your different clinic programs and, and the availability of the Austin community, that kind of thing, to make it, even though it's a chat, sound personal. I would say this too, like I said at the beginning, I am starting to find the chat to be more personal and connected than I thought it would ever be. So I would say utilize that the way you utilize it here. I think that the risk you take is spelling errors, and I think that schools will forgive you, but you have to take a little bit of caution and kind of look at your chat to make sure you're not making any egregious spelling or usage errors. But always at the end of every conversation or every chat, thank you so much for your time. I know that you've been really busy here, but it does mean a lot to me to connect with you personally. Just keep it as personal as you possibly can.
We have some that are typing in the chat.
Okay.
Currently.
And I would say this too, this is another one of those things where we're all just kind of winging it because tomorrow is the first one. And, I feel like my advice here is pretty solid as far as whether it's an in-person forum or a virtual forum. But who knows? A month from now, I could be saying to all of you, okay, so here's what we've learned. And, but like I said, I feel pretty solid that the advice that goes for in-person forums is the same. Make a good connection. Ask for a fee waiver. Okay. Are we still typing?
Yes. Do they need proof of financial need if we ask for a fee waiver?
No. Law schools freely give out fee waivers and they don't ask you any personal information about why you need it. I will also tell you my experience has been that the law schools are very generous with fee waivers. They know you're going to have to pay $45 to LSAC for every school you apply to. And so for them, it's not so much a profit deal. Especially this year, I think everyone's a little concerned about, are applications going to go up or are they going to go down? And so, especially since they're not going to be having the travel expenses for recruiting of, visiting all of the different campuses, I think they are looking to their other recruiting devices. And one of those is making fee waivers available. And there's just no harm in it. If you ask a law school admissions person, is there any chance that you can give me a fee waiver? And because I'm very interested in applying to your law school. If they have to say no, they're probably going to be very sheepish about it because they wish they could give you a waiver. But there's somebody up in the administration who's saying, no, we can't give those away. So don't ever be afraid to ask it. They'd like to give you one if they possibly can.
Okay, we have a question again on the fee waivers.
Okay.
So it's appropriate to ask for a fee waiver during a forum rather than personally getting in contact with them.
Both ways are acceptable. Both ways are acceptable. If you're going around at the forum and you don't, something happens and you don't get a chance to ask for a fee waiver, then an email to the admissions person at the website. I think a good way to do it would be to say, I spoke to your representative at the LSAC forum and decided that I am very interested in your law school. Is there any possibility that you could give me a fee waiver? So you don't have to have the pressure. If you don't feel like the moment is right at the forum to ask, then you've got that opportunity to make a second personal contact to them through the email that's like, there was something at your forum that made me decide that I want to come to your law school. And so can you give me a fee waiver?
I think that is all that we have.
I would also say this, you can ask for fee waivers, at just about any point in the process. And it's not a problem. Like I say, the worst thing that can happen is they'll say, no, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be like, there's not some place on your file that says ask for a fee waiver where they're going to put a big X. To me also, I think that it shows the kind of resourcefulness that one would expect in a future lawyer. Future lawyers are not shy. And so I think that, having the guts to ask for a fee waiver is looked at as a positive and not a negative. And like I said, the person you're talking to would love to give it to you. But if they're not, the administration has said, no, we've got to collect that money from everybody, and it's not the admission person's decision.
We do have another question.
Okay, good.
Would it be appropriate to ask how a school's admissions office considers applicants using GRE scores rather than the LSAT?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, if anybody's got the GRE, I would encourage you to do that because you do want to know specifically from each school. And because it's so new, I think that a lot of the law schools are all looking at it differently. And so you might talk to someone and say, how is it that you view the GRE, as opposed to the LSAT? And you'll get some good, like, current information about, yes, and ask them, how many people have you accepted using the GRE? And you'll either find a school that says, we've taken a number of candidates with GREs, or they're going to say to you, well, there's only been one so far. And so that's a great follow-up question after that. Wow, well, with so few people, is it just because not many have applied with the GRE, or do you still have a preference for the LSAT? And so I think it's an excellent question to engage them with.
I do not show any more questions.
Okay. So I think my final word is I want to hear about your experiences at the forum. So like Christella says she's going tomorrow. I would be very interested to hear about what your experience is like. And if anybody else goes tomorrow, just a quick email to me, just like it was great. It was okay, but I think I'm going to do it again. or I didn't get as much out of it, or I ran into a huge technical problem, or, you know, just kind of whatever your experience is. And that way, as we go along, we'll be able to share some kind of real time before we get to the November and December experiences. And once again, I would encourage you all to participate in our regional panels if your interests are Texas area regional law schools, because, you know, that really will be an opportunity to have a more, it will be more like this, where our deans of admissions will be up on the Zoom screen and you'll be able to ask them questions and see their reactions. Finally, one of the things is that all of the law schools are going to be keeping track of who visits them. And so, you know, it's not like you're being there and asking questions are going to go unnoticed. In fact, you know, I think it was Hayden and I was saying to him, you know, Hayden, you have kind of an interesting different name. So when your name is on the list, and then when they see your application, they're probably going to remember it. So keep that in mind. They will know it's a smaller world than you think it is. And they will know that you visited, and it might make a difference when your application comes, that they know that you're someone who has shown an interest in their law school personally and not just someone who's applying to everywhere. All righty then. Thank you very much, everybody. I think I'll go ahead and sign off today. We'll cut down our recording. And Ashley, I'll let you in the recording. And